First, thank you so much for doing this interview with me. And right off the top, man, congratulations. Comedy Night with Rick Mercer. You are part of this show. Comedian, doing a lot of things, my friend. Congratulations on that. How does it feel first to be part of this comedy series?
Oh man, it's good every time you get an opportunity to do your thing in front of televised audience with comedians of your peers of like very funny, very creative other creatives that you get inspired by their work and then you get to do your thing. So yeah, all in all, it's a great experience,
Well, I got to
because
say
nobody
right up.
owes. Yeah,
No, no,
sorry, go
please.
ahead.
I interrupted you. Go right ahead.
No, just because I know in this game a lot of people will see other people get opportunities, and you feel like, oh, that you might feel a type of way, but nobody really owes you anything, and there's so many funny people out there. So whenever someone has a production and they choose you, and your job is just to bring it, to bring the funny and be yourself, and whenever you get a chance to do that and get paid to do it, that's all green lights, man.
Can't argue with that. I've had a chance over the last 3 years as we've been going through the pandemic to talk to several comics. And one of the things I always like to keep adding in on the conversation is how important comedians have been during this pandemic, because you guys gave us a reason to laugh at some really tough times and tough things that we've seen. And in a lot of ways, I know we're supposed to we go to the news and we go to other sources, but I feel like comedians really help give a proper perspective on what the world has been like. Do you agree or disagree with that?
I'm gonna agree, but I'm biased though, because that's that's my job. I'm like, yeah, we're essential, but I'm doing this joke where we found out the hard way that we were not essential by the government. They were like, we got TikTok now, we have memes. Everyone sit down and watch that. But then when this thing opened up again, it did kind of show us. It showed us that we're needed in a way. I don't want to be the one to say it. I'd rather it come from the crowd or from someone else. But that is a good feeling, because when it did shut down, and there was comedy was illegal. It was illegal to laugh out loud in public. When that was banned, it was like it was a dark day. It was like, is this ever gonna come back again? That crossed a lot of people's mind. A lot of people quit comedy and started selling real estate. A lot of people didn't make it out of this lockdown. So if you stuck through it, and it really gave you that extra motivation, and to come back, and then to get embraced the way comedy has, and the way people been hungry for it again. It showed us that we are essential workers. So yeah, I would agree, my friend.
I like that. I'm curious though, were you, because I want to get into your career and the things that you've done, but I'm curious, during the pandemic, I know, there were performers and also comedians who were doing live shows off of social media, off of Facebook or Instagram or whatever. Were you doing any of those kind of things during the pandemic when we were locked down? Because I know a lot of them said it was a completely different experience, because usually comedians react to the audience. And other than you see that little bubble going up, there was
Yeah,
no reaction. Did you have to do that?
I did a few, and I was a holdout. I held out, as long as I could. I was like, it's gonna come back, no Zoom, and I did a few. And yeah, yeah. If anybody was gonna be honest, it's not the same thing. The thing that makes comedy unique or special is the live experience. And then are you record a special, but nobody is gonna watch a Zoom special. There's no one's checking for that. So it was just a means to an end. I gave it. I waited. I got a chance, like I said, to do different things over the lockdown, since regular stand up wasn't going to be around. It kind of gave me chance to get into some other creative things I wanted to do that I was busy doing stand up before. So I sat out on the Zoom comedy. I wasn't heavy on it, um, you know.
But we're glad you stuck with it. And like I said, comedians extremely important to the cause. I believe that. I want to talk a little bit about your career because you're a Vancouver resident right now, correct?
Yes,
But originally from the U.S.
that's a fact. That's a fact.
Where did the comedy begin for you growing up?
Man, yeah, life is a what they say, a cruel joke. It's a tragic comedy. I was the second youngest of eight, so already, crap is gonna run downhill. So if you that taught me right there, like life's not fair, nothing, life's miserable. You're gonna get made fun of by the closest people are gonna betray you for a laugh. That was how we grew up. There wasn't no therapy or no. We believed in victim shaming. If you if you fail, we was gonna be there to kick you while you was down. And but we loved each other, so there was a balance. You know what I mean? So my comedy started in the house. I had three step siblings, and so there was like Step Brothers meets the Brady Bunch, the Black Brady Bunch. It was all over the place. My parents were worked for the police force, so I've been talking about that lately. Yeah, how a lot of allies are like defund the police, but I'm like the police got me a pool. I had a pool, so I don't want to. I'm torn. So I had a lot of I kind of my whole growing up was in the middle of a lot of things. My grandparents were. My grandfather was a pastor, a bishop, a preacher, and a man of God. And in my family, we were like watching, Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, stuff you couldn't. They were on the Tyler Perry stuff. We were on Martin Lawrence. We was on that kind of Def Comedy Jam on Friday, church on Sunday. So my whole life has been pretty funny, and growing up, laughing was, making fun of each other, laughing, and that was a big language that we spoke. That was common. So comedy started at home.
Did
I didn't even
did
want to. Yeah, I didn't want to be a comedian. It was just I wanted to make my brothers and my family laugh, and then it was like, okay, I'm good.
How did that help you out with friends or in school or even if you got into a tough situation? The old joke Richard Pryor used to always say was when he went to jail, the advice was you just keep them laughing, they won't think about the booty. And that's what he
Yeah,
said he did. What did you, how did comedy help you develop yourself in developing on the kind of person you were going to become?
oh yeah, comedy is that's the icebreaker. That's like a VIP pass when you don't have any ID. You could talk you could find friends. You can definitely open a lot of doors and distract a lot of people, like Richard Pryor was saying. If you want to play the distraction game, but I wasn't like right away funny. I had asthma. I was a loser, man. I wasn't really. Yeah, I wasn't. So I fought a lot. So I was down to fight as a kid. And then was like, I don't want to fight. When I got into high school, junior high is when my sense of humor really started to come out. I found a buddy, Matt Mendez. That was my Puerto Rican and Irish. Daddy was Tito Mendez, great salsa dancer. Anyways, we clicked, and I could play sports too. So, but by the time I got into high school, I was like, okay, I think I got this figured out. And being funny was always a natural language in our house, and so yeah, it definitely can get you in and out. But at this stage, at this age, and at this stage, you almost get tired. Like I don't like I don't like when anyone introduces me to their friend as a comedian.
Hmm.
I lie. I say I'm a substitute teacher. I'm
Yeah.
just a guy. Yeah, because they're like, it's just Joe. Dave Chappelle is this whole shit of like, man, I'm not working for you. I'm the least funny. So now I don't want to be funny.
Do people actually do that? Say, hey,
They do
Dave
that.
Chappelle.
It's bullying. It's bullying, man. So I don't say nothing. I'm just a guy in the I'm a guy at the party just in the corner, man, just like hanging out. And then when I feel comfortable, what the Joker said it. He said if you do something good, don't do it for free.
That's
So I'm
true.
a big fan of the Joker.
Let's jump into that. What was it like for you to do your first show, and not just doing your first show, continuing? Because, I consider myself a humorous kind of guy, but I know I'm not going to go up on the microphone and try to make people laugh, because that is an art form that I think only the experts should do. I might be able to have a few laughs if I'm with my buddies having a beer or something, but to do what you folks do, like I said, that is a skill and an art form. Totally different thing. But I want to go back to what was it like when you finally decided, let me go up on stage? And where was it?
It was in North Hollywood. Was the first time I did a set at the Haha. Yeah, I started in. I was selling phones at AT&T, so I was working full time. I'm living in LA, but I'm like, I don't really need to be in LA to do this. I should, do something I am interested in. And I would go to the Comedy Store a lot with a friend of mine. We were fans, and we would be in the belly room. That's like the black comedy night, and we would sit in the front. And our thing was we had a little production company. We wanted to write short films, and this was right when YouTube was first starting to pop. And we wanted to write these comedies, and we were doing little commercials and things. And so we got to know the comics, and just as fans, and we're like great laughers. Like I like laughing probably a little bit more if it's funny than doing the work. But I once my friend was like, yo, you gotta do it, man. You're funny. You're the funniest guy I know. And he signed me up for the open mic. And I was like, all right, I'll go. And I did like 3 minutes. You had to pay. so, so when you first get into comedy, it's a scam. It's a pyramid scheme. And you pay. And if you like it, you could keep investing in yourself. And then he got a room in a little bit outside of LA called at the Lucky Strike. It was his bowling alley. And in LA, everybody's fighting for stage time. So it became one of the hottest rooms. And then he was like, you got to host it. And I was like, dude, I'm not even a comic. But he's like, you're just naturally funny. And I'd have weird jokes that weren't funny that I met writing that. But then whenever something happened in the crowd or something on the spot, I could cook. And then I just got to be around a lot of some of the best comics, at least, comics that really moved across the country or world to do comedy in LA. And they got their set, and you're like, damn, man, am I gonna get to that level? And then I stuck with it, and I'm glad I did. But it's definitely not. It's not an easy thing. It's starting out, but nothing should be. Nothing should be that. It's about you getting paid to talk shit, where you don't have a boss and there's no. You could get paid in cash or drink tickets. There's no rules in comedy. We don't have a union. It's just you could make 70 million or lose money. It's a risk reward thing, but that's why it's important to know why you're doing it, and to that whole mental health, how that whole new thing. It's a real thing, and if the lockdown gave people time to analyze that. It's like you can quit at any time, or you can switch whatever you're doing, or you can keep pursuing your passion. And as long as you're passionate about it and you have something to say, and you really think it's funny, I think that's what it all comes across, and it's worth money. It's worth, if you put a show together like that, what you're saying is original. It's funny, you believe it, and then you can cook. That's what makes a comedy so amazing, is that you have all these people who anyone can do it off the street. Anyone can be funny. It's like American Idol or something. But then the difference is you have to be original. You can't steal nothing. You have to be relatable somehow, and you have to be yourself every night. And then if you get a heckler, I had a Ukrainian refugee heckle me the other night. So it's like, who's gonna be able to deal with that? Only a pro can deal with that, and then lose the crowd and bring them back. And you're talking about you're putting out fires. You're putting out, it's that's when you're really seeing what you're made of. It's not when the crowd is easy and anyone can be funny. It's when it's nothing but landmines out there, and you can still find a way to bring the crowd together and to get them to laugh at some messed up stuff. That's what I guess my gift is. I'd say.
One of the things that Richard Pryor always said too about his comedy, because he would always use the MF word and things like that, but he said he never used those words as the punchline. He always used those words to tell the story. The punchline was the punchline. What do you think of that?
I think, man, yeah, if anything Pryor is saying, I'm gonna, agree with, but I was just watching his documentary on Mythologic, and then I Am Richard Pryor. But I think I happen to agree. I think Cat Williams has said similar things. It's a seasoning. I see it as a seasoning, and if you over season something, then it's too MFy. It's too, it has too many niggas in it. Like there's the season overpowers the dish, and that language can overpower a joke, and then you walk out and go, oh, okay, I don't remember what he said, but
Right.
it me. So but Bernie Mac though, it's like any artist can paint. We could the best of us are artists, and we paint with different colors. So it's like I can't use that as a broad because Bernie Mac wasn't around until after Richard Pryor, and he did the MF bit, and it's like no one could say that like him. You know what I mean? So there's no limitations, but as a general rule, I agree, and I think, but you have to let everybody have their process. Starting out, you're not going to be doing comedy. You shouldn't be doing comedy the same way 10 years later. You're going to learn different tools and learn how to use different tools. Um, so yeah, I agree with Richard Pryor, but at the same time, in the hands of an artist, anything could really be funny. But again, even Bernie Mac would because he did the Bernie Mac show where there was no MFers and he was funny. So yeah, to be funny with or without is the best. Rule of thumb.
What kind of stories do you like to tell? You kind of mentioned earlier about your parents being in the police force and having the need the pool. Don't defund, need the pool. What kind of
Right.
stories do you like to tell?
You know what? I didn't. What's funny is that I'm doing a special soon. In a couple of weeks or whatever. And
Congratulations.
oh yeah, thanks, man. It's self-produced. I'm doing it, and I'm doing stories about my family a little bit. And I avoided that just because I started to not trust the crowd and go, I need to be vulnerable for you. I was like, I don't need to tell you my family secrets. I don't give a shit about your approval. Like I don't need you to like, but then it shifted. And it's like I don't need you to like me. I need you to understand me so you can see why this stuff is funny for me. So I like my stories to have a point more so than, oh, hey, this is a standalone funny thing that happened. It's like this story, I like this story to have like a reveal. Like, okay, this gives you some insight into how things work for me. Some stories you just get something funny that random that happened. And I used to tell stories like that, but now my stories have like a bigger connection, whether it's to if it's about plastic straws, and then I'm talking about China, and then world politics. I could go from I like movies. I love this turns and anything that lets you go allows you to drop your guard down and and walk on this journey with somebody, so that's really what I'm going for. It's like walk down it's called toxic, but well, I haven't, the title might be pronounced that nigga, but I want you to walk down this path with me that it kind of seems toxic. It seems like, are we on the wrong side of history here? Are we we cross the line, we come back. That's like a good movie. And any good story has, and then it's funny, but it's there's the amount of time I've been in the game, I'm not just interested in distracting you with some cheap laughs. I want you to laugh, but I want you to get to know how I think, bring you into my world, and get you to laugh at some stuff that we shouldn't be laughing out loud about, to make you know that it's okay, because that's what I can do.
You brought something up, and I've asked comics, especially during the pandemic, because so many things have changed. Are there still no rules to what comedians can poke fun at? Because with the political correct and the, what is it, the awareness now and all that other, I can't even go into that. When somebody says to me they woke up, it drives me crazy, because you get like, really?
I go to sleep. You go to sleep.
Yeah, it drives me crazy. Anyways, it seemed like at a point where, like, for example, Chris Rock just made the joke about Nicole Simpson, and then everybody's jumping all over him about it. Did you hear the joke?
Was it recently?
Recently, yeah, about when he said they asked him to do the Oscars next year, and he said it would be something like Nicole Simpson returning to O.J. Simpson of the crime scene, or it was something like that, the effect. And everybody jumped all over him on it. And, like, is there rules to these days of things you just can't make jokes of? I mean, even South Park did a piece where they waited like a certain amount of years before they could make jokes about AIDS.
Yeah.
Like, is there a rule these days of certain things that you just don't touch?
I mean, I personally don't think so. And I think as comics, the rule is for us to, when you say don't touch that, we crack our knuckles and go, all right, well, like, that's kind of just how we're wired. You know what I mean? And last time I checked, this was a free goddamn country where we could attempt to be funny in the ways that we want. So yeah, I don't think so. I think, again, though, but you are responsible for the words you say. You are responsible for. So that's the part I like about cancel culture, is that I like like they're listening to get you to, some people are listening to catch you up, but then if your argument, like a Patrice O'Neal, if people say, oh, if he was around, some people say, oh, he'd be or he couldn't even be, oh, he would be the funniest comic around because he's the smartest, and he did the research, and we're human, we're psychologists. I want to say that we're philosophers. No, we're psychologists. We study human behavior.
Yes.
And anyone could do it. I'm not patting us on the back, but we do it we really pay attention to how people operate, and people are hypocrites. And that's the funniest, to me, that happens to be hilarious and petty, where humans are petty, we're hypocrites, we like virtue signal, we like all the, and then if you throw all the rules away, we turn into Woodstock 99. If you see that's what human looks like, with no rules. It just devolves into chaos after 3 days. So we're not. So it's a cute thing to go, oh, cancel, you can't say this, but then it's a good thing to say, okay, you're listening. These are some rules and some parameters, and I think as comedians, we need those. We need a line so we can know how to cross it. We need to know what is taboo and how to dance. And some comics don't paint with those colors, but I do. And like I said, I got into it with some Ukrainian refugees, and that's the most thing you can't do right now. You have to. So, and the crowd, my points that I placed forth made more sense than the points that were placed forth from the refugee. And the crowd was the choice, and they chose me, and it wasn't because I said, hey, speak your piece, but I'm gonna speak mine, and mine's funnier, but mine's also happens to be more correct than yours just because you know, just because I took the time or whatever. And the crowd gets to be the choice, you know. So in a live room is when the best comedy happens. Now, when you're writing this stuff on Twitter or you're getting these little sound bites from Chris Rock in the interview, you're not hearing the Chris Rock voice on it and the timing and the stank on it. So if you read that as a sentence, it's like, you know, what? You know, like that's not funny, you know. It leaves you open to that, you know, tweets and written statements without the actual art form to it. But I think that's all that does is get more attention these days to people, you know,
But
they're
what about?
offended. So
But what do you think about? And I'm not going to keep you on too much longer. But what do you
no,
think
it's all good.
about with now that when you have an audience? And first off, I don't know why anybody would want to heckle a comedian. I've seen it before, and usually 99% of the time, the comedian wins, and the heckler ends up walking out in shame. But now you have hecklers who are literally thinking, I don't know if they're thinking they're still on Facebook, whatever, but they are up and physically attacking
Yeah.
comics for what they say. Like, what do you think of that situation? And have you ever had anything like that that came close to somebody
Oh yeah.
actually coming up to
Yeah.
attack you physically?
Oh man, totally, man. I've definitely you know, had people come on stage and you know, threaten to you know, to threaten me bodily harm after stage. I feel like, you know, you're not, you know, sometimes you're not cooking unless you know, you get to that point. Sometimes your comedy brings that out. Now, what happened to Chappelle was crazy. That was a whole different bag. How the guy gets in. That's an inside job or something.
But
Guy
I've
gets
seen,
in
but
with
I've seen other videos. But I've seen other videos of other comics, maybe not to the level of Dave Chappelle, where either a woman comes up and slaps the guy,
oh yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
they just jump up on stage. But I've seen several more of these, so it seems like this has been a thing that's going on, and I've never ever thought about something like that.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's rare, you know, but it definitely in these little, you know, these bars. We play a lot of weird places, man, and there's no security, you know, and somebody's like, I don't like that shit, and just gets up. You can do. No one would do that during Hamilton or like the Phantom of the Opera. this is this is racist. They go up and slap the Phantom of the Opera. So, you know, I think that's what our art form is also very accessible. It's very transient, so that's what makes it feel like anything can happen here. You know, it's rare though. I'm not afraid of it. I'm not like I joke about it, but um, you know, it's just like you're evoking. It just shows that people are not as well as they're pretending to be. That's really
Yes.
what it shows. It's
Yeah.
not a really indictment on us. It's just you're not well.
Yeah.
If you and it's always the most wokest person who's the most violent if they hear some shit that they don't want you to say, you know. So it's just like, hey, get some help, you know, don't reach out to a friend or you know whatever you say. Call, check on your friend who runs up on stage and attacks comics. Check on them
There
because
you
they're not
go.
doing well. Yeah.
As we wrap this up with the Mercer comedy special, what can we expect in your segment? What's it going to be like?
Man, it was a while ago, but it's definitely gonna be, as the kids say these days, it's gonna be toxic, but it's gonna be safe though. So you know, if you like some comedy that that's on the I won't say wrong side of history, but that's gonna be painting outside of the line. If you like that kind of comedy, I think that's what I'm doing right now. I don't label it. I don't believe in labels, but it's just funny and it's me, you know. So if you yeah, 10 minutes. You won't, you know, give it a shot. Give it a listen. You be the judge, but I yeah, it's gonna be fun though. It's definitely gonna be needed. coming out of this lockdown.
And you mentioned about recording a comedy special. Any shows that we can look forward to, and of course Toronto for me. Any shows coming to Toronto?
Yeah, I'm doing the 22nd. I'm doing my solo show. I believe it's at Rivoli.
Yes.
I think I'm doing one at our Meridian Hall. What is it? One of the
Meridian Hall is another one that we have.
Yeah, I got two. I got one at the Rivoli, one at Meridian Hall, and then I have a live podcast I'm doing. I got with my co-host Marito Lopez. I have a podcast. It's called Strictly Beloved, and yeah, it's nothing but a good time, man. It's a good time. We highlight the low life and give out beloved awards and recognize, beautiful human interactions and all, and everything in between. So we're doing a live show. We have some awesome guests too. And yeah, that's going to be on the 24th. But people can look at my website, dinoarchie.com, or at the JFL 42 website and see and come check our show.
That's right, because you're going to be part of that. That's right.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
That's right. I almost forgot about that. Look, very last question. I was wondering about this the second that I saw it. When people see your name before they meet you, do they think you're Italian?
Man. I don't know. That's a good question.
Because when I first saw it, my first thought was, oh, he's Italian, and then I saw you, and I was like, oh, this is cool. I like this.
I was about to say if they're racist, but then I saw you, and I'm like, if they're racist, they do. I guess no, I'm kidding. No, I don't know what they think. I know it's just a kind of I'm named after the Flintstones.
Yeah, but you got a mafia name though, man, because I love that.
Ruby, that's a cool name too.
Dino.
I was expecting a blue-haired white girl. Ruby Blair.
You see, and this is why I say, why people try to heckle comedians, you will always lose. Just don't do it. My brother, thank you so much. Thank you so much for this interview.
Come to the show. Yeah, hopefully I see you out there in Toronto.
Yeah, no, definitely. I will put it down. I'll make sure to get down to the shows. But let's talk again, too. When you get the comedy special out, let's talk about that, too. And I'd love to keep in contact. Thank you so much for the interview.
I'm going to take you up on that. All right, have a good one, man.